being a realtor in town and knowing why people come here, the schools, the community, the residential properties that we have, the beautiful homes that we have, that's the desirability of this community. So I feel like things like this could change our town drastically. I am Cheryl Zarella. I live at 11 Grant Drive in Bedford. I am a resident, but I'm also a realtor in town. I did get up and speak last week, but I also wanted to come back and speak to a couple of different things that were mentioned tonight. First of all, I agree with Scott. People do move here because of the residential feel, the community, the schools, the location. There's so much desirability. As far as new construction goes, there is need for new construction in our town. I have a lot of buyers that are looking for new construction. Galloway just had a lot of lots that just sold recently. All of them sold within days. It did not take a long time to sell those properties. They were listing between $500,000 and $700,000. So, to say that there's not desirability in that community, in that neighborhood, that abuts right to that development. So, I'm just speaking up to that information that I have sold homes in that area that are in that price point. Your average new construction home in Bedford right now, the lots that they're building on are anywhere between $800,000 and $1 million. So we have high-end buyers that are wanting to move into this community, and I think that I do agree with their statement about a need for some smaller housing. Not everybody wants $1 million home. It's nice for parents that want to stay near their families to have smaller homes and to have those options. But the ones that are successful are the Muse, which is down by South River Road, also Village Green, similar location. Riverwalk, also in that same type of feeling. They're not amongst these residential neighborhoods, smack dab in the middle of a residential community. So I think that that's, also going to make people question if, I'm selling properties and there's open land near them. Now that it's going to be harder to sell those properties that have open land near them, because who knows what's going to happen to that property. So I just think that those are some of the things that we need to consider. I'd hate to see this town not have that feeling and not have that buyer want to come to this community because it's too built up. So that's my thought on the subject. Thank you.
What chilling effect might it have on home values if no buyer can trust that their new neighborhood won't go from this to this after escrow closes? What precedent does this set for homeowners across Bedford? What other homes border commercial property throughout our town? It can spread like a cancer.
Well, kind of going to that point, my question is more like, so you're making assertions like, for example, these are not suitable for residential, but do you have the burden of proof, do you have any testimony to present of real estate developers saying that this is not a feasible project for single-family homes?
You want to speak to that?
Mr. Chairman, Michael Castagna Consulting Group. I'm the program manager for the project. As far as the feasibility of single-family homes, it depends on the price point. This whole design was market-driven as far as the need in the community and the type of development that could sell, would sell, the likelihood as far as the price point of the lot, and the types of homes that would go there, the likelihood of somebody wanting to spend $600,000, $700,000, $800,000 for a home right next to a hotel, or the fact that yes, you might not necessarily be able to see Bedford Hills, but the fact that it's there, it's a lifestyle, and it's a price point, and it's a market study. And that's what drove the type of housing, the mixed-use piece of this thing, that works from a marketing standpoint, and what will sell. And all of those things together brought us to what we ended up proposing from a density standpoint, from the different types of housing, and the price points that we're trying to hit. And that all goes to the workforce housing aspect of it as well. And I'm one of the biggest proponents in this state. I'm an officer of the Workforce Housing Coalition of the Greater Seacoast. And I know very well how this thing works and what doesn't work. And it's all those factors that go into seeing what works economically, and also trying to build a neighborhood, a community with a lot of social capital character to it that really goes to the flavor of what we felt Bedford wants, with a little bit of counsel from staff and from others that live in this town. And so all of those factors went into that. And yes, it's a lot of moving parts to this thing. But the fact that what works and what doesn't, we've painstakingly gone through that and culminated in this. And
So basically, though, you haven't answered my question in terms of evidence about why this can't support 3 or whatever.
real estate,
In-
the real estate
I
market.
can understand wanting to maximize your development and profit, and that's what you're basically telling me.
Please,
I
please,
don't,
please.
I'm just saying that, when we take all the spin out of it, you still haven't gone to the facts. We're the zoning board, like we've got those blinders. We don't care really about the tax base, that's for someone else to worry about it and rezone for us. We're about, we're not about maximizing, low impact on the school development. I mean, you're throwing in a lot of things that really are, might seem good to you, but to me, it's just a distraction from the basic issues. And again, you've got the burden of proof, you're the applicant. You have in this application, no impact on the schools. Show me the evidence. Show me the evidence that it can't be used as a residential property. You have the burden of proof. You have not provided that, in my opinion.
The study that we did, did not include the workforce housing component. Based on the statistics from New Hampshire Housing Finance Authority, those 10 two-bedroom units will basically increase the school by less than 1 child per unit. So figure 10 kids are going to come out of that based on statistics. Now,
But that's not no impact. I guess that's what my point is. Application, you're supposed to make representations you can back up with fact. So now you've just refuted what the application says, which is no impact, not modest impact. But we can move on. I've made my point.
Any other questions from the board on this point? On this piece? I have
so
have
many, I
one.
would just,
I have one, I gotta go back to the other application real quick, because I don't think I heard a true answer to it. Number 4 of the criteria, and it can be used for either, it should be the first one. The values of the surrounding properties will not be diminished for the following reasons. In your documentation, it talks about the commercial properties. It doesn't talk about the residential properties. What evidence do you have in that issue that it wouldn't diminish those residential properties in the area? Because that, I went back to look at it and I didn't see an answer.
Mr. Chairman, this goes to the price point of the market that we're trying to reach. These units are going to sell for anywhere between $360,000 and $450,000 per unit. For the most part, except for maybe the units on Arrowhead Drive, those are probably more expensive than the residential units to the north, for the most part. And so the issue as far as negatively impacting the property values in and around is non-existent.
So my question, and let me be specific, just looking at the map right here. The one property to the north that borders the road coming in, which is a single-family, he does have commercial approval for use, but he goes to sell, you know, does this affect his property value? Because there's a commercial thing like right next door to him that can be seen, that is right next to him. That's the one I'm most concerned about. And again, I'm not seeing it in the application on how that is answered.
Right, it has to be sort of an analysis on what the effect of what you're proposing is on the surrounding properties, but also bearing in mind that people are permitted to develop their property. So sure, it's certainly preferable to most people to have undeveloped land next to them. Unfortunately, nobody has the right to have undeveloped land next to them until they buy that land. But you do have to sort of give us some sort of evidence or proof that this, compared to what would be allowed, is not going to detrimentally affect the value of these surrounding properties. And I'm not sure how the values of, the price points of what you're selling has anything to do with that.
Well, it's a
Maybe I'm
little,
misunderstanding.
it's a little subjective, because if he goes to sell and says, hey, I want $1 million for my property, I mean, number one, he's not gonna get it. Number two, it's probably not worth it. I mean, that goes to an appraisal value.
That's
And-
the best way to do this. This is the way I would always do it.
Right.
You know, it's not doing an appraisal, it's doing a property valuation report that's typically done by an appraiser.
I understand.
That's probably something that would be very beneficial to convincing us of that, because otherwise I think, I think we're sort of dealing with people's opinions right now, and you know, I won't put a whole lot of value in any one person's opinion over another, maybe not even my own.
Bill, did you have some questions?
No, I actually don't. I'm very concerned with the density of this project. I don't have enough information on to evaluate the density. It just seems it's overkill for a 20-acre site. I presume with decent layouts, you probably could put between 16 and 18 single-family houses in there. I'd like to know what the trade-offs are economically on those. If they made them, I just think this is a almost premature type of request. There's just not enough information here to allow us to make a fair decision, I don't think.
Well, and the thing is our job is to take what we are given
Exactly.
and to make a decision off of that, so.